Hello and welcome to Light Warrior Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Karen Can, author of the number one bestseller, Sensitivity is Your Superpower: How to Harness Your Gifts, Fulfill Your Purpose, and Create a Life of Joy. And if you're new to my community, would love for you to hit the subscribe button if you're seeing this video on YouTube or wherever you are seeing this. And also, I have a free gift for you. It's the Sensitive Soul Empowerment Guide, the 3 ways of navigating your way to more peace, positivity, and personal power. And you can get that at sensitivesoulguide.com. And would love for you to also join my light medicine community. It's absolutely free to join. So we'll put all those links below here so you know where to get them. Now, today I'm super excited because we have Z EarthStar here with us. And I got to tell you, my staff, Tasha in particular, she says, "Oh my gosh, you have to check out this lady. She's amazing. I think you two would get along great." you know. So it was so funny. And I'm reading, this beautiful website and this beautiful woman. And I was like, wow, I'm really feeling this resonance. And I'm like, I'm really hoping she'll say yes, right? To coming on. So we are so pleased to have Z here. Let me tell you a little bit
Mm.
about her. The EarthStar Academy was founded by Z EarthStar to support starseeds, indigos, dreamweavers, and light workers on a mission to spread love throughout humanity. Yes, I know it sounds like our community. Absolutely. She's definitely in resonance with our community. So she's she is a descendant of the Daoist Emerald Dragon family, initiated by Holy Mother Sophia, and holds the wisdom of the Emerald Dragon scrolls. We'll talk more about that today. Serving as an oracle for living creation, she guides with compassion and empathy, working alongside angelic galactic support teams and ascended Taoist ancestors. Through prayer, oracle transmission, singing, writing, and energy work, she helps humanity reclaim its infinite creativity and heal the multidimensional light body and creation sexuality. ESA, the EarthStar Academy, offers teaching and on accessing higher consciousness, unity with God, self-healing, and leading a miracle-filled life of divine purpose. Today, we're definitely going to go into star seeds. How can we get some help and support as a star seed? What's this with dragons? And maybe how do we work on a light body and DNA? All this really great stuff. So, Z, thank you so much for being here. We are so thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm equally as thrilled to be here. I know we were coordinating for a while and the excitement just kept building. And so this is just going to be a great conversation.
Oh, that's great. Fantastic. Well, tell us about yourself. I mean, coming from an Asian family, let's just say that the kind of weird woo-woo stuff that I do now just is like, with the rest of my family, they just have no idea, and they actually don't care what I'm actually doing. As long as I can survive and make money, they have no idea why I'm doing what I'm doing. So they'd rather me be a medical doctor. So share with us your experience.
Yeah, definitely. So I was born in China in 1994, and I lived there for 9 years, 3 hours north of North Korea. And so you can imagine, very dreary, very uncreative. It was, I think, very important for my soul to be born there just to get the context of the kind of density that exists on this earth. I started remembering a lot of different experiences with like astral military presence and beings that are looking out, scouting. I am sure many have heard about these psychic children that are being trained by the military in China. So there's a lot of that weirdness that goes on, not to mention like the slavery camps and things like that. So grew up all up in that energy.
Wow.
Moved to Canada in 2003 when I was 9 and grew up really normal. Went to school, studied piano, was a
Oh,
classical
yes. Us
pianist.
all of us have, yes, me too.
Yeah. um, and so, yeah, going to school made me just forget all of the super magical kind of experiences and abilities that I had when I was a kid until I was 18. This voice just came into my ear one day and was like, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "I don't know, China." And it was like, "Andromeda." And I was like, "Andromeda? I don't even know what that is." You know? So I went
Wow.
home and I Googled beings from Andromeda. And then funny enough, that's when I found all the starseed information on the internet. And at first I was like, wait, there are people in this world that think that they're aliens? But then the more articles that I read, the more I started making sense. It's like you
Mm,
always so sensitive, you know what people are thinking, you want to help people, you believe in the goodness on Earth, you know? And I was like, you know what? Now that I think about it, I am kind of an alien like that, you know? And so
Right.
this voice just continued to guide me and teach me. I really just felt so much familiarity and love. There was never any like coercion or telling me what to do. It
Mm,
was always very supportive, like asking me to ask myself questions, basically, coming up with my own understanding and perceptions of things, encouraging me to perceive the world through my own higher senses. And through that process, realizing that I had these abilities to basically scan holographic space. Like they would ask me to go to the shopping mall and just sit there and scan the space. And I'd be like, I'm not going to the mall. I hate the mall. They're like, you have to go to the mall. And they just walk my body into the mall. And we would just sit there and they're like, all right. So I started scanning people's bodies and everything that's in the space. And I realized I saw these blockages in how people were disconnected from source, from the crown, and from the roots to Mother Earth. And basically, this projected this artificial reality field. And from there, I started studying the false matrix and the artificial reality prison system and how it was hooking into human beings. And um, I remember viscerally when in this period of time of my awakening, I was sitting in the back of my mom's car. I'm just like, wait, if I'm right about this, it means that every single thing that I'm looking at in this world is a lie. And I was like, that can't really be true. Just having this moment where like it was that direct conflict between everything that I knew was true inside of me and just being like, well, I can't, be the only one that is seeing through this. But, eventually I started finding, more people on the path like you, Dr. Karen, and many other starseeds and realized that I'm not alone and I'm not crazy and just really started to take my mission seriously. And I realized that the way that I was going to be able to fully embody and remember my mission was to just learn to heal myself. And so I basically spent the next 7 years deeply focused on that
mm.
and discovered so much about that process. And now we're here.
Wow, that's great. So, like, this is a weird question, but did you have like a regular job at some point?
I had a lot of regular jobs.
Okay.
So when I was in high school, I was a piano teacher at the local music
I was a piano
music
teacher
school,
too.
and so that's weird.
Well, we're Asian. Everybody plays piano, especially in Canada. I'm from, the Toronto area, so everybody I knew played piano if they were cute.
Yeah, so that was my first real job, and
Okay.
then I dropped out of high school actually because
Really?
yes, I had a really hard time in high school. I had some really deep troubles at home. I ended up having this eating disorder slash depression. I almost killed myself when I was 16.
Wow.
And so I moved out actually when I was 16, 17. And then by the time it was like the end of high school, I was just like, screw it. Like, I don't need this. So
Wow. That
I
is
dropped out.
so un-Asian of you.
I know. I became like because I'm like first generation immigrant,
Me
right? Like
too.
I came here when I was 9. So I became like the 1% of Asian immigrants that don't go to universities. I was
Yep.
like, well, at least I'm 1% in something.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that shows you just how strong a personality you are, because there was no way I was not gonna, ace everything and not go to university. Like I just followed the system, talk about matrix. Boop-a-doo. I did everything I was told. So I'm just so impressed.
Right? I mean, just perspectives because my parents did not look at it like that, but
Well, no, of course. No, I don't know how you did it, because I think my parental approval, thing was so big, there was no way I was even gonna entertain it, but you actually did it. So I don't know how
I mean,
you
I
did.
got really lucky with my mom because so I don't know, for those of you that know human design, I'm a
Mhm.
manifestor, and we all know that manifestor children are especially difficult because they come out of the womb just like wanting to do their own thing. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
for like an traditional Asian parents, that's like very rough.
yep,
And my parents, they were immigrants, and then we moved to this small town where we were like the only Asian family in like the
yep.
town. And so it was very isolating for my mother. And after she had my brother, she just had really bad postpartum depression. And obviously, like, I just understand and hold so much compassion for her at that
Mhm.
time. But, I was in my teens. And so that wasn't really great for me. And so we just constantly butted heads. And then I just started like doing all the things that white people kids did. Like going to parties and drinking alcohol and like staying out till 3 a.m.
Okay,
And you
that
can
would be my
imagine
sister.
like right, and she didn't know what to do, and I mean, again, like, we were both just dealing with the world in our own way with the
Yeah.
capacity that we had, but then one night, she was just, like, so freaked out, she started packing all my stuff in garbage bags, and I don't think she meant it, she didn't mean to kick me out, she was just
Oh my
mad, she
gosh.
was trying to, like, scare me,
Oh
and
my
I was
gosh.
just like, "Oh my god, I'm free," and it just took all my stuff and, like, moved to a different city.
Like, wait. Did you have friends? Like, how did you even like?
Yeah, I mean,
I would have
I
been
it worked
terrified.
out because that summer I already had this like volunteer thing set up at the mental health
Oh.
institute, and so I was gonna be like going there anyway, and then I just, I got a job at a bar at a Mexican food restaurant next to a strip club. It was great. Great earth earth education, I
That's
just got plummeted
hilarious.
right into the earth and I was like, here I am.
Wow. Okay. I was way overprotected, so I was like, I would have been like deer in the headlights in that situation. So it's amazing you could do that. Did your mom get really like hurt that you did that?
I think she knew. I honestly think that my parents, they raised me, right? So I think
Mhm.
I've always been very like fearless. I have like what I want to do and I'm not like scared to go after things.
Okay.
And so I think even though they were worried about me, like I think there was a part of them that always just knew that I'm different and they didn't know how to deal with it. So it was better that we weren't in the same space.
Okay. Well, that's
Mhm.
good. That's good. And by the way,
Yeah.
my mother went through many years of depression as well. So
Yeah,
I
it's
felt like
rough.
her passion
Immigration,
there.
it's the
Hmm.
going to a whole different realm, didn't
Yeah.
speak the language and all that stuff. It's so rough.
Well, my parents were of teachers, so they were very well educated in Hong Kong, and they
Mm.
both spoke English very well. So our transition in Canada was relatively easy because they had a lot of friends already here. We just didn't have any money, about
Oh,
20 bucks. um, yeah, but it was still a very, somewhat overprotective place because they wanted perfection. Uh,
right. I did get a lot of that, if it's a 94%, like where's the other six,
was the other 6%?
That's
Some
like
of
the
the
only way they know how to be. And those of you that are watching like funny YouTube comedy videos about Asian moms, like it's rarely ever actually extraordinary. Like all Asian parents are actually like that.
oh, so
So,
funny. Yeah, it's actually pretty funny.
but I am
Um,
happy to report that I have just this amazing relationship with my parents now. Like my
oh,
dad, that
good.
they both come to my events, they come to my
Wow.
meditations. My dad is like, thanking me to helping him like heal his soul. He's like, "Oh, I need to like cleanse my soul." He's like coming to these things, and so
Oh, that makes me want
they've
to
really
cry. That's
just,
so beautiful.
yeah, grown so much.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, well, definitely different from my family. Yeah, the funny thing is they were very um during the whole COVID thing, I had certain opinions that were not popular in Canada. And definitely not popular with them. So all of a sudden I went from, white knight to like black sheep, like almost overnight. And the funny thing is and everything I sent they didn't want to look at or whatever. So
Oh,
one day I decided I was gonna sing. I'd lost my voice for several weeks over the summer and I love to sing. My mom loves to sing. That's how we used to connect. So I just recorded something, yeah, like singing, like just, I was trying out a new funny mic or something. So I recorded this thing. Oh, that got their attention. That was so funny. So my mom said, "Oh, can I share it with my friends?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." So she shared it with her friends, and my dad, like the one, like not saying anything positive for me for 3 years, right? Was all like, "Oh, you're so talented. I'm so proud of you." I'm like,
aw.
"Okay,
Well,
it
who
doesn't
are you
matter."
and what did you do with my parents?
Yeah, yeah, it's so funny. Like, doesn't matter about all the, number one best-selling books or how
Yeah.
many people I help or heal or, whatever. It's like, you're singing really well. I'm so proud of you. I'm like, okay, whatever works.
Okay.
That's good. Okay, well, let's dive into some of the stuff. So you were talking about, how you first kind of got awakened to all of this. So tell us about this lineage. That I mean, to be honest, I never really heard about that. The dragon lineage and all that stuff.
Yeah, so this stuff really started coming through when I first got pregnant with my daughter, which happened in 2019. In the summer, this angel came to me and she had 3 pairs of wings. And she was like, "Stop doing your Taoist contraception practices because I'm trying to come in and it's time for me to incarnate."
Wow.
And she opens her hand and this flame comes out. And she's like, "I'm coming in to teach you how to materialize things from thin air." I was like, "Well, I can't really say no to that," you know? At the
Right.
time, I was, like, living in my car, like, making 500 bucks a month, just doing grid work, being guided everywhere. I mean, I always was taken care of, so I wasn't in a period of time in my life where I really needed more. Um, but I definitely wasn't in a place to have a baby, but this being was very adamant, and at the time, I had this piece of land that was actually is another amazing story of how I got guided there. Basically, this Andromedan man that was incarnated on Earth left it for me before he died. And so I went to this property. There was already this RV that was there. My boyfriend at the time moved into the RV, and within a month, I was pregnant with her.
Did
And
you
then
warn him?
I did. I
Okay.
did, actually. I mean, he was I did, but we neither of us expected it to happen, like, so fast, you know? She meant it. She was like, "I'm coming in." So that whole time, I was just, like, full on telepathy with this soul. She was
Mm,
so beautiful, and she just was sharing all this beautiful knowledge about the womb and, like, the human light body and the meridians and how the meridians are built to be this pathway for our soul to be incarnate into our physical body. It's like this passageway for energy flow between realms, and how the womb of a woman, it is actually like this stargate between realms and is the center of her wisdom and her own soul's essence to come into her life. And this is why there's been so much trauma in the world to hide this knowledge from women, to
mm,
steal this power from her, essentially, and to just force all women to give birth to this reality that they didn't really agree with because subconsciously they don't know how to exert that sovereign creationship over their own life because this knowledge was taken away. And so while I was pregnant, she was showing me how this is connected to these ancient dragon families that were given these dragon scrolls that essentially held the knowledge that Chinese medicine is based on. So, so much of, Chinese medicine and the Taoist philosophies have to do with souls and the eternal essence of souls and the incarnation of souls and how like there's this cosmic and earthly reflection and the fractal universality of reality. And so how a lot of those teachings are founded in, modern teachings like Chinese medicine, but so much of the original depth of the teachings have been lost through the fall of
mm,
consciousness
mm,
and extending into there are books written about this ancient female temple called the White Tigress Society, and it talks about this group of women who are basically practicing enlightened sexuality, but even those teachings are very distorted at this point because they talk about how women are a reflection of infinite creation, and so they should be able to have as many partners as they want. And if you have sex with so many men, you can be eternally youthful, right? It's like this very distorted
mm.
way of perceiving that, but it's not for any reason besides the fact that we went through this massive fall on Earth. And
Okay.
so there were these original dragon teachings of life, which is the human energy system and how humans interact with the earth energy systems. And so the ley lines and how that reflects in the human meridian system and how is really one body of knowledge of how the cosmic materializes into the physical. Right. And so this is actually what is the basis of the Christic teachings as well of Christ, of spirit coming into matter. So these are all different lineages of dragon teachings, and the dragons are essentially these guardians of creational knowledge. And so my lineage held these teachings and began to teach and disseminate these original teachings of medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, and this knowledge of the earth's energy and the human energy systems. And this is what my baby was discoursing to me. I would wake up at 3 in the morning. I woke up one day at 3 in the morning and she was channeling this entire 9-week course. I was like writing it all down. And
Wow.
then we opened Healing the Womb 2020.
Mm.
75 women joined. At this time, I was living in an
Wow.
RV, right? I didn't have a business really, so it was kind of like she like initiated my whole situation. And then,
Did you say
yeah,
75 women?
75 women came on.
Wow.
I didn't know anything about business. I didn't, but she was like, that was my initiation into like creating from the womb. Like she
Mm.
was teaching me how to embody it while she was doing it through my body while
Wow.
we were teaching these women, right? And so then she was born in the Pleiades Gateway 2020 in May, and she actually only stayed for 9 days. And then she had this crazy death initiation that I was not ready for.
Oh,
But it
geez.
was, she literally birthed my light body back to source. And this was like a very crucial part, I guess, of my ascension journey because now this is how I'm able to like facilitate such massive amounts of energy through my body
Mm.
now through that experience. And also just transcending death, is like the birth and death are very dragon teachings as well because it's like understanding the interdimensionality of human life and how these bodies, how we exist beyond these bodies, but how these bodies,
Right.
how we
Wow.
come in and how we go out of the body, basically.
That sounds really intense.
It was crazy because I was just I mean, this was, like, my soul's best friend, right? Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't just like, it's enough to, like, lose a baby, but
Right.
more than anything, like, I was literally hanging out with her every single day. I
Mm.
had this telepathic relationship with her, and I felt like she was, like, the one person that understood me on the
Mm.
whole planet. And
Wow.
so it was like I, like, lost my best friend, and part of this initiation was, like, meeting death face on. So part
Mm.
of it was, like, I had to, like, fight for her body to get her back from the weird hospital system, because
Oh, boy.
usually they
Okay.
just send the body right to the,
Yes.
whatever they're called, and they, like, do the funeral for you, the funeral home. So we're, like, skittish around death. We don't wanna do it ourselves, but then Divine Mother was saying, like, this is your body, like, your body created this, and your body has to give it back to the earth. And so,
Mm.
luckily we lived in New Mexico, so we lived on reservation land. We were able to get all the paperwork that we needed to get her body back, which was ridiculous that you have
Isn't
to,
that
like,
crazy that we
yeah,
have
like,
to
it
do
was
that? Oh my
just the whole thing. That was, like, its own whole thing. But then, going through the process of really, like, working with her body and, like, creating the altar in the earth, like,
God.
all of
Mhm.
this, like, created this we were building a Stargate essentially.
Mm.
And then my soul went through basically the worst dark night of the soul imaginable for the
Yeah.
following while. But then soon after that, the EarthStar Academy was birthed because my light body, I needed to get like the light body activation to be able to hold the field that was needed to sustain these teachings essentially and to bring through the frequencies. And it's just taken a life of its own. And I'm happy to report that she did come back. She told me she was gonna come back and she did come back. So, at one day she came and she was like, "Oh, mom, I'm coming back. I'm coming back." And then 3 days later, her father reached out to me over email. And so I talked to this man and oh my gosh, just like love at first sight, right? I gave him a session. We were on the phone for like 4 hours and like our whole life was just like clicking in
Wow.
together. And we just had like the same map for our life and started receiving like so much experiences and knowledge about divine union and higher scamos and like this
Mm.
light body technology that is like the sacred unions here on earth that are holding this field for God's plan to unfold. And we met in person in June of 2021 and I was pregnant a month later. So um
Wow.
I mean, she just doesn't waste any time, She tells me she's
And did you
coming in
warn
and then
him?
yeah,
Did you warn him that
pardon?
that was happening? Did you warn him that that was happening?
He actually is so funny. I don't know if he's gonna be happy with me sharing this, but when we met, we were guided to do a lot of quantum hypnosis work together. So he would put me under hypnosis, and then we would fly around the universe, like getting downloads and reading
Wow.
different codes and stuff. It was so much fun. And one day during one of our journeys, he got this download that he was going to give me a son. And this is like we literally had just met. So he was like, "Oh my god, like I'm not telling her that. There's no way that I'm telling her that." And so it was so funny that eventually he did tell me. Um, but anyway, I did. It was the same thing when I was pregnant with her again. She um, downloaded me this whole new course about similar things, but multidimensional sexual healing this time.
Mm,
About like weird planetary negative alien implants and the patriarchal inversions and the curses that are in around childbirth, the curse of Eve, right? And all this like weird female exile divine pain that we
mm. Wow, that sounds
experience.
intense too.
It was so much, and going to, like, societal sexual trauma, like, a lot of people don't think that they have been through sexual trauma because they haven't been, like, molested or touched by a physical person, but it's, like, just growing up in this world, being infected with a distorted understanding of what sex even is, just, like, being raised around Chinese parents that are feel so much shame around it. It's like,
Hmm.
that's sexual trauma, like, that is
Right.
this level of trauma is like, unless we can talk about this layer, we can't get to it because we don't even realize
Right.
that.
We think it's just normal. It's just every day.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Wow.
so this time 450 women came join the class,
Wow.
and, I did a survey at the end of the course, and 80% of the women that responded to the survey had a direct experience with Kara, whether she showed up in their meditations or in their dreams or they felt her presence when they were
Wow.
doing their healings. Like it was outrageous and incredible. Um, and so yeah, now I'm pregnant again. I'm about 4 months pregnant, and this time it's this incredible little boy. And he's coming in the year of the Emerald Dragon, and he's really the one that's like bringing it all together of showing me how these
Mm.
teachings are literally coming from our ancient ancestors who got their teachings from the original dragons. So there's this like, we sometimes think, oh, there's our angelic family and the starseed stuff,
Right.
and this so quantum and cosmic. And then there's like our earth ancestors, like two separate things. But I'm seeing how it literally loops back in the beginning of time when these cosmic beings seeded these lineages with this cosmic
Mm.
teachings that then went through the fall. And now we're coming to like rebuild the temples essentially. And so, um, we're opening another course for women together. And this time he's all about like the inner king and like embodying our confidence and like also wealth, it's like working with money because that is such like a grounded essence and element of power that oftentimes disempower light workers, right? It's like one
Yes,
aspect of
absolutely.
our life that is very disempowering. Is like, well, what if all the light workers and the angels had hundreds of millions of dollars in their bank account? Like, what would the world look like? What would they be doing? And people are like, oh, like I don't need money. I don't want money. I'll say, like, he's like, they're lying. It's like if
Right.
aliens came and wanted to fill their bank accounts, like they would not say no. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
So
my gosh.
that's kind of what we're
Right.
working
Well,
on
and then
now.
knowing more about like the whole matrix system and the ails of the money system, like the
Right.
economic system, it can be really a big downer,
Yes.
for people that are already light workers, right? They already shun money because they're told that they're not valuable on some, like it's okay that, this basketball player get however many tens of millions of dollars. But even now, when we do Facebook ads, there will be one or two, people who will comment. And it's like, oh, you're just in it for the money. And I'm thinking,
Right.
okay, I'm charging $17.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
because of the inversion, and, like, those are the
Yeah,
same people that'll buy, like, $1,000 shirt, It's just, like and that's
maybe. Yeah.
part of the societal rape, It's, like, our sense of what is valuable, like,
Right. Well,
it's
healers should
like
do it for free. You're a
right,
son or daughter of God. You should do it for free, right? But that's why all these healers are so sick because
right.
they can't take care of themselves.
Yeah, and it's like, well, what about the healing centers that God is wanting us to create? Like, what
Mm,
about the children that God is asking us to rescue? Like, what about all the orphanages that we need to create? What about like the wilderness areas that need to be protected?
right.
How can we
Right.
actually exert any power in this physical world if we're refusing to understand that every single piece of matter on this earth is here to serve God, including the computers, including AI? I know this is like an unpopular opinion. There
Hmm.
can be evil people using all of these things, but as long as you know who you're serving, the core of your being, every
Yes.
single thing here is dying to work with you so it can serve God. And,
Hmm.
that's
I
just
love
like the
that.
next level that we're stepping into.
Yeah, that's great. I sometimes don't get, I get funny looks when I, because I love technology, right? And I
Yeah,
said, well, everything that's
me too.
manifest is coming from the same source. So
Yeah.
it's just, it's all about intention and how you want to use it. So I do, anyway, we can get into that AI discussion. So how does one know, like, if they are a star seed? Like, like, as you work with a lot of people who identify as star seeds.
Yeah, for us, we have a really simple definition, and is that if you have a spark of love for God in your heart, and that spark drives you to want to be of service to humanity or the earth or life or something that is sacred to you, you're a star seed because star means a seed of cosmic consciousness, original source consciousness. And so you can actually be, I've seen people that have past lives as a tree. They were a cloud. They were in an undimensionalized reality, They
Sounds like
don't
Doctor
necessarily
Strange.
come from other star systems, but they are still
Mhm.
technically star seeds because they have a spark of original
Mm.
creation consciousness inside of their heart. And that's what pulls them to live life in a certain way to be of service.
Ah, okay, okay. Oh, that's really neat. Do you find with the people that you've worked with, are there any patterns or things of, we talked a little bit about kind of like the negative money patterns or the negative wealth patterns among light workers. Are there any health related things that you've noticed in your community that are
Yeah, so
patterns?
the people that I work with are such like, wide variety. They come from all over the place. Some are in their 20s, some are in our 70s. And so I think every almost cluster of starseeds go through their own different experiences. But I think adjusting to Earth life is pretty across the board situation. A lot of starseeds, they're like, "Oh, I don't want to be here. Earth is a ghetto. Like,
Mm.
I want to leave." And I think that,
Yes.
or I don't know my mission. That's a big one. Like, what the heck
Yes,
is
it
my mission?
is.
Um, so yeah, things like that. But
Yeah, yeah.
definitely, because I think health problems are very interesting. Like I'm very into the body being an oracle. So
Hmm.
there's this amazing show called His Dark Materials or The Golden Compass. And
Yes,
in
I
there,
saw that.
there's this like device that's made of like cosmic dust, and you can ask it questions and it connects to the universal dust and it like reforms itself into an answer. And I feel like our body is that. Our body
Mm.
is like made of cosmic dust and like it literally has access to all information because of the water and the plasma in our body. I'm just a total body
Yep.
nerd. I think that's probably where we can
Oh,
like
yeah.
really
You and I
relate
get
to each
along
other.
just fine.
Yeah. So I'm just like such a huge fan of how God created these bodies. Like it's just incredible. It's carrying such immense intelligence. And the body is, until we can consciously take up some of these missions, like moving through karma, healing interdimensional distortions and wounding, until we can consciously take that responsibility off the body, our body is literally trying to do those things, right? And
True.
so it's going to do it through these ways that we perceive as disease, but really it's just the body's way of A, communicating and B, performing or facilitating the alchemical process that your soul and your consciousness is meant to be doing. And so
Mm,
as
I
soon as
love the way you said
people,
that.
yeah, and we're like, I say it's like the body's way of making the unconscious conscious. And
Yes.
so, as soon as the mind and the consciousness can step into the guardianship role and the conscious role and the mother father role of taking care of those things, those agreements, those soul missions of healing and restructuring the lineage and cosmic energies, then the body will be relieved of its need to continue to have to hold or facilitate it through the disease. And that's when you'll see like miracles, right? Like, I'm sure you've seen that in your personal practice as well, that as soon as like the light comes on, the body's like almost like sometimes can instantaneously just release certain things like tumors or diseases and things like that. So
Yeah, it is really interesting. And I think, thank you for saying it that way. It was very eloquent. As a medical doctor, and having, that medical knowledge, right? But also that light being starseed and other kinds of experiences, uh, the difficulty has been that sometimes people go, well, you're a light worker. Why are you not perfectly healthy in all ways? Like, why do you have a knee pain? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me, right? And then it's hard for me to explain. Like, sometimes when I tune in and go, well, what's this about? like literally, and this is, I'll tell you this story. That one time I woke up, my knee was swollen. I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I tuned into Source, and it's like, you are Mother Gaia right now. It's like,
Yeah.
all right,
Mm.
and North Korea needs your help. So
Yeah.
my
Oh my
right knee
god,
was
North
North
Korea.
Korea. Like something was going to explode or something. I mean, it sounds dramatic, but I was like, okay. Well, it's usually not dramatic when we do the healing. I did the healing, and then my knee pain just completely swelling, and it just went away. And so every time that there's something in my body that feels out of alignment or out of balance or something like that, now I've learned personally, like, sorry, not to personalize it necessarily, to go, okay, what's going on? Whose stuff is it? Is there a message or something I need to do? And oftentimes, 99.9% of the time, if I do the healing work on the quote unquote other, I know we're all one, but on the other, right, my symptoms go away. And people are like, oh, you don't have good boundaries. I'm like, I tested my boundaries
No,
real
I was
good.
just coded to be like a fractal being because that's the thing with starseeds. And we were talking about multidimensionality is like really we look at the layers of our aura. The earth is like if you zoom out enough, you are the earth. You're one with the earth. You're just like a
Mm,
cell on the earth. You can
yeah.
zoom out further than that. And this is an essential piece of grid work, how you are able to heal even other planets and exploded planets and other star systems. And a lot of the times it is our body that is able to communicate those things to us.
Yes.
So that's a great example.
So I'm not crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Uh, well, let's define a couple of things for, especially for some of the new folks to my community. They may not know some of the things that you talked about earlier. We talked about the light body. So can you explain in more detail what you mean by the light body?
Yeah, so I think instead of the body being like a purely physical thing, it's like internestled fields of energy. And so you can feel where your emotions are, you can feel the layers. Like I break it down into like the somatic, the physical, and then the emotional, and then the etheric layer and the astral layer. And these are just, things that I've kind of felt into myself. And then, have these layers of your energy body that goes out. So I kind of use the word aura interusably is that a word? As the word light body or energy body, it's kind of all
Ah,
the
okay.
same thing to me. Because the aura, it is a field of energy that penetrates into the body as well. And so when you
Mm,
begin to meditate, you will feel that you have these different layers of energy bodies and they all carry different relationships. So the base somatic layer is going to carry more of the cellular processes, which is like energy that you can tap into and also intelligence that you can tap into. And then I found like the organs will often be their own beings, right? They have their
mhm,
own energy and they have their own almost characteristics and their own spirit. And represent their own islands of information inside of the body as well. And of course, like the water is like another field. So there's like almost infinite ways that you can break it down, which is when people are like, oh, there's 12 chakras. No, there's 7 chakras. No, there's 30 chakras. And you're wrong. And I'm right. And it's like, no, like you have all of those. They're all right. It's just like a different angle of looking at
yes.
yourself.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was funny because I was tuning a source one time, and I was like, okay, well, this lady, the water code book, says that these are the 13 chakras, and then my, mentor Marcus Bird, who is connected to a high vibrational being that he channels, they taught the Egyptians, and they taught 13 chakras, but a different set of 13
Right.
chakras, and
Yeah.
the interesting thing is their pathways are spiral, and the
Yeah.
meridians in Chinese medicine, I know it's been distorted, but tend to be straight. And
Yeah.
so what he was explaining is these spiral pathways, if they in the intersection points, if you connected all of the points, it's actually straight. So the Chinese were doing the efficient thing, like going, well, they're spiral, but we're just going to
Classic.
connect all the points, right? And I was like, I believe that. So then I was asking, well, which of the 13 chakras is correct? And I got both.
Right. Yes.
you
Yes.
know
Yeah.
so I thought that was really interesting. Now some people, now this is funny, you probably heard it before, but people have been saying, okay, so when we elevate our vibration, if we to go to 5D, will the rest of society disappear and not be able to see us? Okay, so what's your perspective of that?
I love that. So, I mean, there's so many different narratives. It's really a minefield out there in like
Mm,
the new age community. We have to realize that, the CIA has been trying to derail our mission for like 100 years. Like as soon as we started incarnating, they were like, oh my God, like we have to take over. And then they started creating all sorts of cults. And really damaging belief systems, right? Like, oh, we have to be positive all the time, and like our
Yeah.
chakras are gonna disappear, and like the aliens are gonna appear and
Or you
take us
have to
out of
take
this
out your
planet.
chakras. There you go.
Right. And it's
Yeah.
okay, like, I think that if I came down here to this planet just so that I can like leave, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm here to support humanity. Like, I'm here until this planet. Like, by the time I'm done with this planet, and I speak for all of us, by the time like our soul family and like the people of God, the people of creation are done with this world, it's gonna be heaven. It's gonna be heaven on earth. And what that looks like is like all beings are free, no
Yes.
children are being harmed, everyone is living to their, soul's highest joy. Like that's it, right? That's what I'm here for. That's
Yep.
what I'm committed to. And like
Yep.
when I'm like grounded in that awareness, I'm too focused on what I'm supposed to be doing to like entertain these like funny ideas about things. And you'll realize that it's trying to pull us out, like pull us out
Mm,
of our knowing and our purpose and our passion, our creativity. The other thing that I'm here
mhm.
for is just like creating in as many different possible ways as I can because, we have computers, we have pianos, we have harps, we have paint. We have so many different ways that we can literally like co-create. And I feel like it's pivotal, like on Earth at least for the last tens of thousands of years, like this is a creative peak that we're seeing. But even in the universe, like that's why the starseeds were so excited to come here, right? It's like starseeds like, oh, I want to go home. Like, no, we were so excited to come here. You don't understand. You just don't remember. But
Right.
like as soon as you realize what this world really is and what is really here for you, and this is the thing, it's like I feel like one of my primary roles is to help humanity remember what life is.
Mm.
Because that's why, like, as a 16-year-old, I tried to kill myself, and then I was in the hospital, and then they tried to feed me frozen pizza and Jello and a bunch of drugs, and I was like, "I have an eating disorder. Shouldn't you be, like, teaching me how to feed myself?" And then this 80-year-old psychiatrist was like, "You know
Mm.
what? Like, eating disorders are lifelong. Like, you're gonna have to cope with this. Like, you're
Oh,
gonna need to, like, take these drugs." And I was
I
like
apologize on behalf of my profession.
it was an amazing experience because it was like my first awakening, right? I was like, okay, I got two options here. I can either keep doing what I'm doing and die, or I can figure out like what being alive really is because what kind of world do we have if like teenagers are trying to kill themselves, you
Mm.
know? Like that's when a child should be like so excited to explore the world and be so excited to just be alive and
Yeah.
just realized that there's something so horribly wrong. It wasn't my fault that I was feeling that way. It was just the world was set up in a way that me as like a creative spiritual individual, that was how it made me feel unconsciously. And it set me off on this journey to really understand what life is. And I just started asking the universe and asking God, like, what is being alive supposed to feel like? And I just continuously got guided into these amazing experiences, like playing in the river. There's no better thing on earth than playing in a river. You know what I mean? Like ice cold water. You just like there's nothing better. Like I came down here just for that.
Waterfalls. I'm a waterfall
Yes.
person, so
I just,
love waterfalls.
and just earlier today, like I knew that this message was gonna come through because I was just walking back to the house and I was feeling so good. Like life force coming through my body. I could feel like all of my body, I could feel my feet and I felt my legs, I felt my vulva, like all part of me. And I almost felt like a psychedelic experience. And I was like, this is just what being alive is supposed to feel like. We're
Mm.
supposed to just be like aroused by life. We're turned on, we're online.
Mm.
We have life force coursing through our body, and that's really like a dragon thing too, because the dragons is like the energy body, right? Having the energy flow unimpeded through our body and really
Mm.
being united. That energy that flows through us is the same energy that flows through everything. And when we're in union, in that state of almost ecstatic aliveness, we start to see the world in a different way. Like we start to see the beauty in the rocks and the plants and the flowers and the animals. And it's like, oh my gosh, I get to be alive on earth. Like I just start crying at that point,
Yeah.
and it's like, it's so sad that so many people just wake up in the morning and just don't feel that. That's
Mhm.
just the most devastating thing to me ever. And I feel like that's really like what triggered me onto my awakening journey was like seeing how miserable people were and now experiencing like what is possible and what is our birthright. Like this is how we're meant to live. This is our natural state of being. And so it's like I just want everyone, every human being on earth to remember so we can stop killing everything and just like enjoy being here together.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, that is so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Now, do you have any intuitive hits or thoughts about our DNA changing? I know a lot of people talking about, our the DNA shifting, changing to a crystalline form. Like, what does that mean? What does it
Yeah, it's
entail?
a great question. I think that I was just thinking about this the other day actually. It's very interesting. Like I have a brain that's able to hold different perspectives simultaneously.
Love that.
So I was just thinking about how like we have Silicone Valley, right? And it's
Hmm.
like taking all the silicone, is making all this technology, and is like creating AI and stuff. And then it's interesting because people are saying that we're shifting from carbon to silica. And I was
Hmm.
like, is that um like a psyop to like unconsciously make light workers think that we're gonna end up in like a cyborg civilization where we're like unified with technology. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Okay, I'm not a scientist, so I can't tell you. And I think like unless you're a genetic scientist, we shouldn't just like hop on board with these things that just are like spewed around. Do I believe that our DNA is changing? Absolutely. I think there's been so many scientists like Dr. Joe Dispenza that's even like documenting it in his events, scientifically seeing DNA change and come online. And so, I really feel like we don't, well, actually, my Andromedan self is actually a geneticist, a light field geneticist. And so our understanding of genetics here on Earth is very limited. Genetics is so much more than just the expression of our physicality. It's also information, it's also timelines, it's also soul decisions and choices. It's also so
Mm,
many things. And so I think that we're just beginning to realize the divine design of our being and how our DNA will take us all the way back to remembering like our source and how we were created and why we're created. And I feel like there's a lot of teachings up there that like teach you like specific breath work. Like if you just breathe into your 37th strand, then you'll like awaken. And I can feel like there's a lot of like new age Luciferianism going on. Just my
interesting.
opinion.
Okay.
Luciferianism is essentially like seducing people with knowledge and information.
Okay. Okay.
And they'll like spew all these terms at you, but like you're like, okay, like where is the feeling of God? Like where is just like the joy, right? Where is just like the peace and the friendliness? And I really feel like we
Mm,
don't really have to know all of that. Like if we just attune to our natural presence, our DNA and our self is going to naturally express itself, right? And like we're already divine. We're already full of life. We're already,
mm,
designed to be these beings that can access this precious cosmic divine intelligence. And when we really start to resonate in that frequency, it's going to begin to turn on our DNA, and then we're going to feel more of that frequency, and then it's going to kind of self spiral in that direction. We don't have to think
yes.
so much about it mentally.
Yeah, thank
It's
you
not a
so much
mental
for saying
process.
that.
That's what I'm
Exactly.
trying to
Yeah, I
say.
actually really, really resonate with that because I've had some questions over the years about, okay, so does your method turn on the such and such DNA or the X strand or
They really
whatever?
don't actually know what they're talking about.
And it
And,
just
like, the
feels
other thing
really
is, like, they
like,
think they do, but then it traps their brain into they think, like, it's like a spiritual trap.
yeah, 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 yeah. So there's and it keeps fluxing and changing and the whole resonance piece does and we can't end this without me asking you about water. So
I love
so water's been interesting. After I started, I launched on a telesummit, ended up with a lot of like lot of one-on-one healing, sessions from this telesummit. This is back in 2016. I gained 25 pounds, and all my clothes didn't fit me, and I was literally like the Michelin Man. Like I was like
it.
literally
Yeah.
gonna rip like the Hulk the seams off my winter coat, and I thought, okay. So I talked to my massage therapist. I said, okay, so I'm kind of fat, and they're like, you know. You're not fat exactly. It's just like poofy, right? So finally I was like asking source, okay, what up? What is going on? And I got, long story short, that it was water, and it was easy water, exclusion zone water, which I didn't know too much about, but there was a book, Fourth Phase of Water, I was guided to read, so I read that, and it was like ding ding ding, all these things, right? But I still didn't get like what was going on. And then it was something to do with like source codes or light coming in through the crown and having to interpret, or the water was there to hold it. It's, for lack of a better word. And once it would process, then the water could go. So it was a very long time to try to figure this out. All sorts of things happened. Templates happened where my Lemurian 7 foot tall, 240 pound self wanted to come into this body. So I wasn't going to grow any taller. So I just went this way, but I swapped that template back, to the human one, or at least made that one dominant. And then it was like in 2 days, there was a big shift. And since then, I've been getting kind of slimmer and slimmer
Our
again.
body's amazing.
Isn't it? They are amazing. And now that, after reading the Water Code book, realizing, oh my gosh, they're a being. I never really treated them that way. So now I'm like, okay, so I'm treating water as a being, and that's more dimensional than it is physical. So it's fascinating. So tell us, your thoughts about water and your experience.
I love water. I almost swore because I'm so excited. I was actually just playing in this little pond earlier, with my friend. We were taking some photos and we had like all these flower petals. I was like playing with the water. It was like the best thing ever. The water started contacting me, I think a couple years ago, and I really peeked into early this year because I was being called by the whales to go visit them in the Pacific Ocean in Moorea Island. But they started sharing these activations around water and the connection between water and plasma being a universal, interconnected consciousness highway, which kind of looks like your background, actually, the way that they have shown me. Like they say that even the scientists say that 99% of the universe is made of plasma, but they don't know what it is. And they just don't, but it seems to like if you took like this kind of X-ray image, you could see that it connects everything, like all the planets, all the stars, all the realms. You could see this
Right.
plasma interconnecting everything. And
Yes.
to me, when I saw kind of the images, it looked a lot like fascia in our body.
Yep. I'm
So the
all about fascia.
fascia, yeah, the fascia is just like this literally this gel, this water network that connects every single thing, every organ, every layer, every cell in our body. And I realized that the water and the plasma are it's a way for consciousness to be aware of itself in its totality instantaneously. So your eyebrow hair can communicate with your toe instantaneously.
Mhm,
And your
mhm.
consciousness can also get information from any part of your body instantaneously because that information actually moves a lot faster than it does through the nervous system.
Right.
And so this is how we're able to actually remote view and receive information from other star systems as well and other dimensionalities because our consciousness is really flowing through this fluid element that is conscious, that is aware of itself. So then
Mm.
I started getting this really weird awareness that I'm actually just water. Like I'm a bag of water. I'm water having an experience as a human being. And then that tree over there is water having an experience as a tree. And then that sun is like water having an experience as a sun. And then we're just like, oh my God, everything's literally plasma. Like plasma is God. Plasma is the intelligence, is the superhighway, is like the architecture that is allowing God to be aware of itself. And so now and then I started saying the plasma in me sees the plasma in you because we're literally all just water. Because the thing is, okay, this is the weird thing, is that the water in my body, right, is literally aware of the water in your body because they're one. There's only one
Right.
water being. Water is
True.
just the one water entity on the planet,
Yes.
which is one with the plasma in space. And so really it's all
Mm.
just one thing. Literally
Yep.
just like
Yep.
one being. It blows my mind
Oh my
because
gosh.
it's
Yes.
literally just all one being. Like we are literally one being having all these different experiences.
Well, and that reminds me of this funny, weird thing somebody was sharing with me. I think Michael Tielinger was talking about it on some TEDx talk about how NASA has been, dropping these hints that, the outer space is actually water, this astronaut almost drowned, it's not actually empty space. And I thought, what? You know, just weird stuff. But it's so true. The what you were talking about, the fascia, right? Like when I was quote unquote channeling the Topican healing method, I would just ask like, what's going on with this person, and I would just keep documenting things that I didn't know half of what they meant. And literally, on my little cheat sheet charts in here, it literally says in the dimensional boxes, it says multiverse fascia. I'm like, as a medical doctor, I'm like, well, I know what I mean, but I can't explain it to anybody else, right? Like multiverse fascia, it's like, what the heck is multiverse fascia? But then, I've other teachers have explained it in different ways, and now it's like, of course, like my friend Marcus, my mentor, talks about in his healer program, there's membranes and then there's strings, and I'm like, looks like fascia to me.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Like it traverses time and space and dimensions. So it's like this, like you said, multi-dimensionality of reality. What you call plasma, I call multiverse fascia. Water is that interface, that's there. And water obviously has communicated with you in a very deep way. And through the Water Code book, Rainy Marie Hiley says that, wants to reveal its gifts to us, but humanity as a whole isn't ready for the whole shebang yet.
Right. But water is make I noticed that water is making a huge ripple in the collective consciousness just this year and last year.
Mm.
Because Veda Austin, she started coming
Yes.
out. She became very popular, and then people just like are eating that up, and then more and more people are coming out of the woodwork. So I feel like water's been busy going through this awakening.
Yes, and the funny thing is, and I don't know, I think I did tell my community this, but it's almost weird to say it here. But there was one healing that I did, which was um, the dimensionality of water coming to the 3D. Like there was an assistance, or I was the bridge, or something. So that because it was ready to show more of itself here. But it wasn't like the physical water, right? That we're washing our hands. So I thought that was fascinating. I felt very honored to
Oh, I
help
love
birth
that
that,
so much.
which is very neat. Tell us about your EarthStar Academy. What do you have? If people want to follow you, like work with you, where do they go? How do they connect with you?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I have a lot of free information available online. You can find me on YouTube at EarthStar Academy. I've got like hours and hours of workshops and webinars on there. You can find me on Instagram at earthstar.academy. I'm also building out a new page for women. It's at womb.temple.
Mm,
And I'm primarily active, on those platforms. And my academy is the website is earthstar.academy. It is basically a 3-year program. I say I'm training the world's most competent healers, creators, and leaders, because it is like a 500 module curriculum that goes through a lot of things. We talk about, evolving our emotional maturity and really working with um, our emotional body and our ancestral body, like way before we even start doing any spiritual stuff. I'm really here to assist people that maybe feel like they've gone through the spiritual reality and have learned all this spiritual stuff, but like still haven't stepped into their life purpose, like still don't know what they're fully doing. So we offer lucidity training and psychic training and mastery training, and that we are realizing that our human self is just as if not even more important to master here on this planet. So many people want to activate our psychic abilities, which I do teach you to do in the intermediate level. We go into grid work and psychic surgery and implants and planetary grid work and all that stuff, but, it's kinda useless if our human self can't function or, like, can't take responsibility or can't figure out human
mm,
relationships, can't figure out our
mhm,
shadow and things like that.
mm,
And, really talk about just what it means to be a simple man and a simple woman, how sacred and divine it is just to be a sacred human being and not need to transcend that in any kind of way and recognize just how incredible it is to be ourself, you know? So it is a very multifaceted school. We have live calls and we do grid work, and I also have courses for women to learn how to heal their sexual trauma and to reactivate their womb stargate. So I go into more um, really like a different kind of work. Like I feel like the EarthStar Academy is like the work of my inner masculine. It's like very structured and I'm creating a pathway and
Mm,
eventually it's going to be a soul healing technology that will be developed to help humanity restore their system and bring their soul back into unity. But with the womb healing work, it's just different. It hits
mm,
different for my soul in a way because it's deeper to me as a woman. I've gone through so much of my own healing as a woman that has gone through every single kind of sexual trauma imaginable. And to just like understand how much trauma women have gone through, through the birthing process and like having
mhm,
organs taken and all sorts of stuff.
mhm.
When women find out that they can rebuild their organs etherically, like they're just so happy, and there's no feeling like it to support women in coming home to our inner power. So,
Ooh,
um,
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And what's
yeah.
that program called?
Well, there's different ones, but for that one, no, it's really you can just find it on Instagram at womb.temple, and the link is wombhealth.org because it's the Divine Mother's override for the WHO. So instead of World Health
Oh,
Organization is a womb health organization, which is really the real world health organization, because when all the wombs are
really?
healed, the world's gonna be healed. So
Oh my gosh. Wow. That is really, really powerful. Well, there's most of my community members are older like I am, so they're, late 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond. And so our, sexual whatever you call it is different from when we were 20s. And then there's all this old trauma or collective trauma that is still resonating in the field even if it's not our personal trauma. So I think this can be super, super supportive for all of
yeah, I
us.
will say that actually like most of the women that have gone through my courses are in their 40s and up. And I feel like this is because, you guys have money, you have time, you're ready to do the work. There's a lot of reasons why the spiritual
We're done
community
taking
like
care of the little ones for the most part.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Oh, that's
So,
great. Awesome. So, do you have any last words of wisdom you'd like to share with our audience before we say goodbye?
I'm feeling really good. I had so much fun hanging out with you on this conversation today. I don't think I've like laughed so much and just had so much fun on a podcast like this. So I'm just really grateful for that. I really enjoyed myself. And I just wish your community a very happy whatever weekday it is that you're listening to this.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, we also want to give great gratitude to you, Z. It's wonderful. It's there's not that many people who are in this, healership space that I've met that are Asian, and just so wonderful to see the work that you're doing at the age you're doing it, and the wisdom that you have, and bringing all these, amazing teachings to us in this, 3D embodied realm. I can see that you and I resonate on many, many, many levels with many, many
Yeah.
things. And that is just wonderful. I'm so grateful for Tasha to have connected us, my beautiful team member. And so we want to thank you, Z, very much for your time, your energy, your love, your dedication to the world. Definitely heaven on earth in our lifetime. Yes, yes. And thanks all the light medicine community and light warriors here listening to the show. We'll put all the show notes down below so you can check out Z's beautiful work below. And until next time, lots of love. Bye for now, everyone.